Well, just when you think you got everything figured out, life throws you a curveball, and well, you have to take an unexpected road trip. Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Tree. If you're new here, I have been a van lifer basically off and on my entire life, especially my adult life. And sometimes unexpected road trips come up, and that's what keeps me going. I'm telling you. We weren't planning on going anywhere so soon, but it just so happened that Ron had a truck that he was willing to part with, and one of his sons, who lives in the Pacific Northwest, needed a truck. So we decided to make a road trip and tow the truck up there and stay around for the 4th of July and quite a few other things. And we had some pretty good adventures. Now, I tried to upload while I was there and actually managed to upload a short, and it was really, really poor quality. And I apologize for that. You can't even hear half of what I'm saying. But I left it up there anyway because it is so hard to upload anything these days, especially in rural areas. And the area that I was in, I kind of mentioned it in my last video. A fellow YouTuber who we actually got to meet, but I'll talk to you about that later, and give you guys a shout out because I want you to check out his channel because he's actually a really nice guy. I subscribed to him way back in the day when he first started. But anyway, so this place is very unique in the fact that it is a larger city. However, if you drive like not even 5 minutes in any direction, you're either in the wilderness or you are out in the ocean. So it's kind of rural and a big city at the same time. Plus, it has college campuses. So the bandwidth has been taken up by a lot of people using it, and the infrastructure is pretty much like what we have here because we're out in the sticks. So you can imagine how hard it is to upload a video. Now, this fellow YouTuber, who I'll be talking about in a minute, he said that it takes like 8 to 10 hours to upload a video, and I have experienced that myself. But quite recently, I kind of like, I don't know, like poked at my service provider and got a little tiny bit more room on mine, but still, I mean, there are days when I have a hard time, and we shall see how long it takes to upload this video because every time is different and it's always an adventure, and you have to babysit it the whole entire time because sometimes it gets kicked off of there and starts all over again. So there's that. But anyway, so we had a very good time. We stayed in Eureka for a while, ended up camping out on this peninsula area called Samoa, which is pretty cool. And I guess everybody has heard about it because when we first started camping there a few years ago, it was pretty much empty all the time, including on the 4th of July. But this time it was packed. I mean, there was lots and lots of people there. We were concerned because there was getting to be so many people there that it was going to be a problem. You know, and it was the 4th of July week and weekend, and everybody just kept coming, and they overpacked the campsites. I mean, it was crazy. And everybody had their dirt bikes, and it turned into like this impromptu dirt bike rally. But the cool part was everybody was nice to each other. Everybody was playing with their kids. Everybody was, you know, they were all, you know, just riding their dirt bikes back and forth. They had like, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. In a situation like that, a lot of times you end up with people fighting and getting into trouble and stuff. And that didn't happen here. Not only were the people just out there playing with their kids and having fun, but they were playing football in the middle of the parking area, you know, where they had like an area for people to still drive through. So, you know, unless there was a truck coming or a car coming or something, they were out in the middle of the thing playing football. And I get to watch that, which I thought was really cool because I hadn't seen that since I was a kid. People were just really nice. Nobody fought with each other. Nobody caused trouble. There were people from as far away as Idaho that showed up. I mean, it was nuts. But at the same time, it restored my faith in humanity because everybody was sweet and everybody was nice. And everybody that we met out there was really cool. And on top of that, get this, it was a party week, party weekend, 4th of July, and everybody went to bed at least by 10:30 or 11 o'clock, except for the night of the 4th of July when we had a little bit of fireworks going on in the bay. I was blown away because usually people stay up and, you know, do their loud talking and all that kind of stuff and yelling and screaming and just, you know, revving their engines and keeping their generators on. But that wasn't the case here. Everybody was respectful, everybody was nice, and I think partly it was because it was a family atmosphere and they wanted their kids to go to bed at a decent hour and stuff like that. So it was just fabulous. I don't even know how we ended up being so lucky to have that kind of an experience. And like I said, we were so nervous because we were so packed in, but it was great. Everybody was so cool. And we had the best neighbor who, like, he was just the nicest guy. And he had the coolest truck ever. I mean, it was like a 58 Ford panel wagon or something like that. And yeah, we almost bought it from him, but that's just not practical where we live. We need a 4-wheel drive. But anyway, so yeah, it was just great. And then after the 4th of July, we decided we were going to go further north and go visit my mom and some other friends. And so we did that, which was great. And it took us, you know, quite a while. So we were gone quite a while. And then we went back to Eureka. And when that happened, we were there for a few days and the campground was still kind of full, not as full as it was, but because every time we go there, we don't stealth camp or boondock or anything because, like, the streets are kind of crooked and the way our bed is situated in the van, it's very uncomfortable. And we wake up like a headache or something. And sometimes we're lucky enough to be able to stay at one of the kids' houses, but this time just didn't feel it. It just wasn't happening. So we just stayed at this same campground both times. And we were hanging around there for a few days. And we'd like to go to this certain natural food store that's in town there. And it just so happens that a fellow YouTuber, I'm going to give him a shout out now, Scott from Static Camper Van, was there. And so we got to talk to him for quite some time. And he was very gracious with his time. And we talked each other's ears off. And he remembered me because I have been one of his first subscribers. I have been commenting on his videos for like years. And we have been chatting back and forth through comments and emails forever because he is one of those YouTubers that will take the time to answer you, especially if you have a legitimate question. And there have been times when we both kind of helped each other out with van stuff because, you know, he's like me. He likes to give people the correct information, and he talks about things that he likes and things that he doesn't like. He talks about products in just about every one of his videos, except for the fact that he's not selling anything because he's not affiliated with any of these companies or any of these products. So he can give his honest opinion and not have to worry about that. So I really enjoy watching his channel, and I think you guys would too. If you haven't seen it yet, go on over to Static Camper Van and check out some of his videos. And his sense of humor is very interesting and very subtle. So once you watch him for a while, you'll figure out he's pretty funny. So yeah. But anyway, you know, just check him out. I don't normally give other van life channels a shout out on my channel because they tell you when you're doing YouTube and you're learning how to make videos and grow your channel and all this stuff, not to do that, because if there's people who are bigger than you, then, you know, they'll get the views and you won't. But they also tell you if they're like at the same level as you or lower than you, then you can give them a shout out and you guys can collaborate and do all this stuff. Whatever. I don't care. If I like somebody, and I'll talk about them. I give other channels in other genres, kudos all the time, if I think about it. And I mean, you guys have heard me talk about people on this channel before. So yeah, I mean, but usually they're in other areas of YouTube than than van life, because there's a lot of van lifers out there that are giant, you know. They don't need my help, but you know, I'm you know, want you guys to go check out Scott because he's got some good stuff. He's pretty interesting, and he used to be a cook, so a lot of times or in the restaurant industry or something a long time ago, and so he's really good at cooking and stuff. And he shows you a lot of techniques, and it's very interesting because he's doing it in a teeny tiny little minivan. Yeah, and I kind of admire that because I really have a hard time cooking in our van, and part of it is because I was so spoiled because I could stand up in my van. I always made sure that I had vans that I could stand up in. I always had an old motorhome or a big old high top van. Like, this is like the first low top van that I've had, that I've like camped out in since I was a little kid, you know. So it's kind of a weird thing for me to cook in a van. I have kind of a hard time. So yeah, check him out, and especially if you are interested in like minivan builds, because he has only lived in minivans, and so he has some very interesting ideas you might want to implement in your own situation if that's what you're doing. So yeah, and we just had a really good time. We had, you know, the epic road trip unexpectedly. It was very much a impromptu and a surprise, and so but that's the kind of thing that keeps me going. I really enjoy that kind of stuff. And then there's another thing I wanted to talk about, even though this video is getting kind of long for my upload. I have to like kind of keep them pretty short these days, even though I would really rather give you guys like more longer content, but I have to be careful. Hopefully this won't be so bad even if I go pretty long. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys about my channel because I had mentioned it in the last video. There's a lot of stuff going on in my life that I don't put on YouTube, and I'm sure a lot of you that are other YouTubers out there, you understand what that means. You know, you just have to have some privacy going on. You can't, you know, always I don't know, put everything that you do up on YouTube. Okay, so yesterday it got really loud outside, and there was like dogs barking, roosters crowing, people talking, cars driving up and down the road, so it got pretty loud. So I decided that I would try to record the rest of this video in the house today. Hopefully the dryer and the swamp cooler aren't bothering you guys, but this is just what I have to do. This is just the time that I had today to do it, and it's really, really hot, and I just didn't want to be out there. And right now, you guys probably can't hear it, but I can hear cars revving their engines and stuff down by my neighbor's house. So I just want to like be in a quieter area, and hopefully we don't get interrupted. But I just wanted to add to this video because I had kind of mentioned in my last video and also partially in this video before that I'm going to be making a few changes to the channel, and I'm going to be doing some really cool stuff that has to do with camping and outdoor things and van life, but it also intertwines with the rest of the things that I'm interested in right now and have been for a very long time, that I've always kind of peppered in the channel anyway, because I've always talked about health and well-being, and you know, how to stay healthy on the road, and how to eat healthy food, you know, when you don't have refrigeration in your van. You know, if you go back into my old videos, you'll see a lot of those, and that's why I never took them down, because I think that they still could be useful to people. Some of them I'm gonna have to go through and check out, because I might want to update and redo some of them, so that new things that I've learned get put back, you know, get put up on my channel so that you guys can see that. However, because I don't have the viewership that I used to, because I've been on YouTube for a while and I didn't really have that much viewership to begin with, I've got like maybe 5 or 6 people that see this stuff. So instead of getting mad like I have been for the last 6 months or a year, I'm going to use this as an opportunity. Now, I have other caveats that happen. It's harder for me to upload than it used to be, and like I've said before, and even in this video and at nauseum, you know, that's been happening to everybody. So I'm just going to do the best I can, and I am going to basically show you guys what I've been interested in, and things that have been occurring to me over the years, because, well, I didn't just live in a house my entire life and then decide to be a van lifer. I've done this off and on my whole entire life, especially in my adult life. And right now, Ron and I live in a home, but we are gone 3 to 6 months out of the year living in our van. Okay? We go on the road, and just like this time, we think we're going to be gone for a week or two, and we don't come back for a whole entire month. Okay? So this year, 2026, we have already been out for two and a half months, actually, of the year already. Okay? I'm probably going to be going on another trip here pretty soon. I'm going to hopefully do a solo trip here pretty soon. And so that's probably going to take a long time because of what I've been planning. So, that's going to be, for me, a total of 3 months. So I have a unique perspective, especially when it pertains to myself personally. So I'm trying to word this so that you guys could get what I'm saying, but also I don't want to reveal too much, because I want it to be kind of a surprise when you guys see it. And also, if I can't figure out how to document it, then at least I won't have said that I'm going to do something and not done it. So that's another thing. I really, really want to be upfront and honest. I've always tried to do that. I've always tried to give you guys good information, the right information, and basically not be a liar, pants on fire like a lot of influencers are. Because when it comes down to it, even me, this little person who has been doing YouTube for a very long time and has no audience, is still an influencer, because I'm influencing somebody. So there's that. I've also figured out that YouTube is all about shopping. It's basically like the modern day version of the 1980s home shopping network here in the United States, which I think they still have that. I don't know. I don't watch TV that much, so unless I'm over at relative's house, and they have never really watched that. So I don't know if that's still on the air, but it probably is, because, well, it gets people to buy stuff. And that's really what a lot of YouTube is about, unfortunately, but that's just the way it is. Which I don't mind, because I actually have a lot of stuff that I think is cool, that I like. New stuff and old stuff too, and I might be peppering in that kind of stuff. But I realized that all of my interests and all of, except for art's kind of like separate, and crafts, but all of my interests when it comes to like health and wellness and my own health journey and things that have happened to me, which I'm going to update you guys on the channel here pretty soon, have all kind of intertwined with my love of van life, of being on the road, and of camping, and just doing alternative lifestyles in general. When it comes to my domicile, I have always wanted, even when I was a little teeny tiny kid, I've always wanted to live in something other than a house. I always wanted to either be in a tree house or a fort, or, stay in our Chevy camper van that we had when I was a kid. I loved it when my parents would let us have like little sleepovers with our cousins and stuff, and they would let us sleep out in the van. That was like the biggest thing. Like, I was so happy to see my cousins and my friends, but it was really, the cool part was like sleeping in the van. I mean, now that I look back on it, if they would have just like let me sleep in the van, like if I did something good, and I wouldn't have necessarily needed like a sleepover, I'm glad my cousins and my friends got to come over, but it would have been just as big of a treat for me, I think, now when I look back on it, to just like, I don't know, get to sleep in the van instead of in the house when I was a kid. So I've always been that way. And I know a lot of little kids are, and I just never grew out of it. And I've come to certain conclusions as to why. So I'm hoping that I can figure out a way to document that and interweave it into my content, and maybe it will help some of you guys. And I know it will help me, because it's kind of like therapy. So there's that. And I don't think I have anything to lose at this point, because really the worst thing that could ever happen to a YouTuber has already, except for getting my channel removed, has already happened. So I might as well just do what I want. So hopefully, you know, the 2 or 3 of you or 5 of you that are left stick around and like what I have to do and what I have to say. And if not, hopefully I'll get another audience. I don't know. But I really do appreciate all of you, and I hope that you stick around, and I hope that I can inspire you in some way, and, you know, maybe show you some things that I like and some things that I don't like. And one of the reasons why I mentioned what Scott does on his channel is because he still talks about products like YouTube wants you to do, but he buys them himself, or, you know, whatever, and he gives you his honest opinion about them. He could do that. He has that freedom. And so I don't want to lose that freedom. I want to still do that. And if there is something that I really, really, really like in the future, and I think that it would be beneficial for you guys and help you out in your life, whether you're van lifers or not, then I might promote that. However, I don't think that I want a contract because, well, you have to kind of hype stuff, and I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is it'd have to be really good and really special, because I don't want to recommend things to people that aren't necessarily good just so I can get money. So anyway, there's that. So hopefully this is going to, you know, intrigue you and inspire you to keep watching, and you know, hopefully you get something out of my videos. I really hope so, because that's really the biggest reason why I put videos up here, is because I just want to pass on something to other people, you know, and I think it's a good thing for us to share good things and keep the good things rolling. So there you go. So hopefully this helps you out. Hopefully you got something out of this. And if you did, you know, please like and subscribe or whatever you want to do. And thank you for watching this far. And I guess I'm gonna say goodbye now, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, talk to you later. Bye. Aww. Hey, cuties.